Hi and hello and welcome to Nursing News You Can Use. Today is July the 5th, 2023, and I'm Tina Baxter and I'm your host. Welcome to those of you that are on our Nurse Shark Academy page and those that are joining you on our Baxter Professional Services page, and also to those of you joining us on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and get started and jump in because it is hot in here. My air conditioning is out. I've been trying to reach my landlord to get it fixed. So we're going to try to hurry this along. All right, let's jump right in. So here's our inspirational quote for today. Number one, don't call it a dream, call it a plan. Don't call it a dream, call it a plan. Number two, don't be ashamed of your story. It will inspire others. Don't be ashamed of your story. It will inspire others. And lastly, dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die tomorrow. Dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die tomorrow. Those are our inspirational quotes from the Inspirational Daily Calendar by Lauren Dratch. All right, let's get on into it. I'm going to save the announcements for the very end, and we're going to hop into the news. And it's going to be a little bit lighter news day, but there's a couple of things that we need to talk about and discuss. And there is one that I'm like, we need to talk about this one. Okay, so let me get into it. Let me pull it up here. Okay, so this is something that came. This is from again across the pond, but this is something from the New York Post. So take it for what you will. But this came from the New York Post, and I want to start with this one because I think we need to discuss things as nurses about what not to do. So a dialysis patient dies during sex in car with his nurse who failed to call for an ambulance. Let's get into it. So it says a UK nurse had sex with a dialysis patient in his car, then failed to get help when he died of a heart attack, according to a disciplinary hearing that booted her from the profession. Penelope Williams, 42, was found with a long-term patient after he died in the back of his car with his trousers down, according to the Telegraph. She initially told cops in Wales that she only met the man, who was not identified, because he messaged her to say he was feeling unwell. In a formal meeting with her managers, Williams, who had another partner, denied any sexual relationship with the now dead man and said she merely sat in the back of his car for about 30 to 45 minutes while just talking. She further explained that the patient had started groaning and suddenly died, according to a hearing of the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the NMC. So apparently this gentleman was getting regular treatment at this facility, and she just kind of took it upon herself to have a relationship. So it turns out this was a year-long relationship, and that they had been meeting regularly in his car. So the panel reviewed this to say that in this particular case, Mrs. Williams' actions were so serious that to allow her to continue practicing would undermine public confidence in the profession and in the NMC as a regulatory body. So they have taken her license. So yeah, let's talk about it. It's something we should not do. Very important. And I just had a conversation with someone about professional boundaries as far as in the coaching side, but definitely when you're on the nursing side. And I'm going to say you need to treat your license as your business and not do that. So let's get into the next story. This is coming um, from MedPage Today. And this is a special report that they are doing on for-profit nursing programs. And so they're saying, what's the matter with for-profit nursing programs? And if you attended a for-profit program and you want to comment on this, let us know what it was like for you and if you had a similar story. So according to this article, it says for-profit nursing schools often market their programs to people working in low-level jobs, people looking to improve their life circumstances. Most promise a flexible, expedited education and a supportive environment in which anyone who works hard can succeed. But too often, the schools fail to deliver on these promises. When that happens, students stand to lose tens of thousands of dollars in federal loans, the chance to sit for the nursing licensure exam, and a career many say they felt called to since childhood. So today, MedPage Today has spoke with a dozen current and former students, as well as academics, nursing professors, and regulators in this article. So let's get into it. So they say for-profit nursing schools can seem like an answer to prayer for people who always figured a career as a nurse was out of reach. When working adults who set aside career goals hear of an accelerated nursing program with evening and weekend classes, they think that the stars have aligned for them, says Rusty Webb, JD, a personal injury lawyer based in West Virginia. They say, I have a babysitter. I can still work. I can learn online, and I can do that for 18 months or 24 months, but I can't do it for 4 years. These students are often older, low-income working adults. Most are women. Many are single mothers, and a good number are immigrants, said Webb, who has represented former nursing students in lawsuits against for-profit schools. Too often, the promise is too good to be true, Webb and others familiar with the schools told MedPage Today. Instead of a license and a career, these students find themselves tens of thousands of dollars in debt with nothing to show for the hundreds of hours they've wasted. Driven by the fundamentals of supply and demand, for-profit universities have expanded their footprint into nursing schools over the last 2 decades. And I certainly have seen that. And we've had the cases here in Indiana of ITT, MedTech, Indiana Business College, which became Harrison College, then ended up closing down. And that was a huge story when they closed because the students weren't even where they were closing. They just showed up for class and the school was closed down in the case of Harrison College. So this is why I'm bringing this up because I found this article very interesting. So I want to share a little bit more. It says, while many for-profit schools are high-performing legitimate programs, the rush to graduate new nurses has drawn more than a few bad actors into the field, experts say. And the problem is only compounded by intense political pressure from state lawmakers who have, in some cases, effectively stripped nursing boards of their authority to decide which schools are permitted to open and which are underperforming schools must close. Educational providers, limited liability corporations or LLCs, other business entities, even individual owners have been known to use nursing schools as, quote, profit centers. The goal was to just get butts in the seat no matter what, said Colleen Auger, JD, a litigator who has brought lawsuits against the for-profit institutions in Arizona. It's the perfect recipe for money, 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 big dollars. Importantly, for-profit programs target those students who are eligible for federal aid, the Title IV loans, Pell Grants, Department of Defense transition program. This means, quote, guaranteed dollars for the institution. What's more, the admission criteria is all over the map. Some require a minimum of 60% on the HESA, which is the Health Education Systems Incorporated entrance exam. Others require 80%, and passing the threshold, whatever it is, does not in any way prepare students for the rigors of the actual program. So it says, as they say, so it fails from the start by admitting students that are not qualified for the program and then leaving them without the support and services and the educational infrastructure needed to succeed. First-time board exam pass rates and on-time completion rates are not very good compared to other schools. This is coming from Joanne Spetz, PhD, and director of the Philip R. Lee Institute for Health Policy at the University of California in San Francisco. She says that the NCLEX is the test that determines whether a nursing school graduate is safe to practice, and passage is required to obtain a license registers in both the U.S. and Canada. So again, you have to pass this test. NCLEX pass rates are a key performance measure for nursing schools. Many states require that programs maintain a pass rate of 80% or 85% or above, and falling below that threshold can trigger an investigation by a state board of nursing. So even though it's one measure that they use, there are other things. So unlike paramedics and nursing assistants, nursing students have only a written test. They aren't given a skills test. So regulators say that they need to be able to have confidence that nursing programs are delivering the skills and the training students need to practice safely in the field. So that brings me to this. So we had tried to open up an LPN school here in Indiana, which we were not able to successfully do due to a lack of clinical spaces. But now they're clamoring for nurses, so I'm pretty sure they'll be a little bit more amenable to having nursing students come in. But I digress. But this leads us to the question of, you have to, as a student, look at the pass rates, see who's actually completed the program. And if the recruiter is not willing to sit down with you and go through that program with you and explain to you what you need to succeed, and they don't provide supports like tutoring or anything like that, I would probably pass that program by. That's one of the reasons why, in starting our CNA program, I wanted to make sure that we put those things in place to help students get what they need so they can pass the test. The important thing is they need to be able to pass so they can work. So we have things already in the system so that if you cannot successfully pass the CNA program, at least you might be able to become a home health aide and maybe try again. So, there needs to be something for some sort of relief for these nurses. So there's more to this article, and they're going to talk about more about it. And of course, we all remember the whole Nightingale scandal that happened down in Florida that's affected other states. So this is something that we'll be continuing to watch as well. So that brings me to our next story, and that is coming from out of the state of Oregon. And this is from State of Reform. And this is what I find interesting now, because it says in Oregon, community colleges can now offer BSNs in Oregon, which could help them address the state's nursing shortage. So it says community college leaders are hopeful new legislation that allows them to offer a bachelor's degree level nursing program will help address Oregon's nurse shortage. Lawmakers recently passed Senate Bill 523, which authorizes community colleges to offer bachelor's of science and nursing degrees. They can now offer a post-licensure degree program in which individuals who have already received an associate's degree in nursing can receive a BSN. Julie Downing, PhD, is an instructional dean at Central Oregon Community College who advocated for Senate Bill 523. She told State of Reform that the main reason a BSN program is needed is to help address the state's nursing shortage. Nurses can't move up into a higher position without a BSN, Downing said, and we don't have enough nurse educators. You have to have a master's degree to become one, and you can't get a master's without a BSN. Every school across the state is struggling to find nurses. We have to train nurse educators. The availability of more BSN programs will also help hospitals that attempt to abide by the Institute of Medicine's recommendation that 80% of nurses hold a bachelor's degree. So COCC works closely with St. Charles Health System, and the hospital has requested that the college offer a BSN, Downing has said. Our program is a primary feeder for nurses at St. Charles. Most of those nurses are associate prepared. There's data that shows there's less mistakes, there's a higher level of comprehension if a student gets a BSN. With this Institute of Medicine request that they want 80% of nurses to have a BSN, St. Charles is hurting a little bit because most of their nurses are associate prepared. So we are going to see more and more of this, but that makes it very interesting, because would it be likely that maybe Indiana might take a similar take on that and offer a BSN program at Ivy Tech? That might be something that's coming. And that might also help them recruit other nurse educators if they knew that that could be a stepping stone. So what are your thoughts on that? Give me your take on that one. And we're going to get to our last story of the day. Again, it's hot in here. Okay, so this is coming from Skilled Nursing News. And I'm kind of curious to see what's happening here. And if you're a nursing home administrator or director of nursing and you've seen this happen, let me know. But it says astronomical Medicare Advantage denials, pre-auth issues cause outcry from nursing homes. The Medicare Advantage pre-authorization process and denials of care are a growing concern across the continuum, and nursing home operators and advocates, as well as federal lawmakers, are pushing more urgently for change. Such concerns are not new, and already some action has been taken. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, has sought to stop diversions of patients away from skilled nursing facilities while ensuring more consistency between MA and traditional Medicare, so Medicare Advantage and traditional. Nevertheless, these forthcoming changes haven't eased the headaches faced by nursing homes, nor allayed fears by advocacy groups. And the legislative efforts to rein in Medicare Advantage plans needs to be stronger, nursing home operators and advocates say. Insurance providers won't pay for patients to stay because, per their guidelines, they were well enough to go home. It's just astronomical the amount of patients that are discharged too early because the insurance will no longer pay. That is from Lorraine Fayad, Regional Director of Care Connect and Census Development at Texas-based Focus Post-Acute Care Partners, which operates 27 nursing homes. In the end, the burdens of cost and care are shifted to providers of health care across the continuum. Fayad told Skilled Nursing News, and quality gets compromised while rehospitalizations go up, which is true because it's just a revolving door. You send them home too soon, they're not ready to go home, but or you send them to the nursing home, they're really not ready to be in the nursing home, but you send them out, then they get sent home from the nursing home and end up right back in the ER and bounce back. So this is again a problem. And so it says the federal officials have continued to demand more visibility in the pre-authorization and denial process and to seek to regulate it. Congress members recently pushed for additional requirements for insurers that would lessen administrative burdens for providers, including a 24-hour deadline for Medicare Advantage insurers to respond to pre-authorizations requests for urgently needed, patient care. So we'll see what happens with that. That's the end of our news segment for today. So let's get on into the announcements. Very excited. So for those of you who don't know, and you've probably seen some changes to our Baxter Professional Services page, but those who are on our BPS page, you can now go to our very new website for our Baxter Professional Services Health Education.com website. That is where we're going to house our CPR trainings, our CNA school, our TB trainings. We now have a new website to house all those things so that it'll be a lot easier for people to register for things and you're not having to go to multiple platforms. And I'm not having to use other platforms to get students enrolled. So that being said, those of you who may have signed up on the American Heart Association platform. They just went to the new Atlas platform, and there's still some bugs they're working out there. You will also need to register at the Baxter Professional Services Health Education platform because that's how you'll pay for your seat. So it still can go through PayPal and other ways for you to pay for it. But now I don't have to worry about following up and finding out, because it used to be in the old system with American Heart Association, I would get an email when a student enrolled in the class, but I'm not getting those emails anymore. So I don't know if you've enrolled to send out the invoice. So to alleviate all of that and to make it a lot easier, if you sign up on the American Heart Association platform, it will have information for you to go to our platform to register there as well, because it will capture all the information that I will need in case there's a change in the class. If there's an illness and I have to cancel, or you get lost and you don't show up, I can contact you. So there are some problems with the new Atlas program because it doesn't capture all the data, and I don't have access to phone numbers and addresses and things like that like I used to. So all I have is an email from them, and I don't know when students have enrolled. So we're going to change that, and I wanted to explain to you a little bit about that process and why those changes are being made. It's because of changes on their end, and I'm trying to make it a lot easier for you to sign up. So if you sign up just on the Baxter Professional Services Health Education page, then don't worry about it. I will enroll you into the American Heart Association class. So you'll be there, you'll get there, but I will know if you sign up on our page because I will get the response, and then you will automatically get the information that you need. And so those emails will come out automatically. So that's what I want to do, is to further automate things to make it easier and streamline the process so it's better for everyone. So if you haven't checked it out, those of you on our Baxter Professional Services page, you can now go to our Baxter Professional Services Health Education website. Now, we do still have baxterprofessionalservices.com, and that is for our legal nurse consulting business. So that is still there. But since most of my Facebook page on Baxter Professional Services really isn't geared toward attorneys, I changed the website for health education because that is where most of the nurses and students tend to find me for those trainings. So you can get your TB training, CPR, your first aid. So it's there for everyone, and it makes it so much easier for you to sign up. Secondly, our Nurse Shark Academy, we are having our 3-day challenge, our free 3-day challenge. You can sign up and register for that. You need to really sign up on the website, the Nurse Shark Academy website. That's nursesharkacademy.biz, and you'll see the free challenge on the event section. And it's also posted in our show notes. But you can sign up and come to our free event, and we're going to talk about how to start your own nursing assistant training school and put those systems and processes in place so that you can be successful and have less headaches. Having done this before, I am acutely aware of some of the headaches that you have when you're doing a training school and trying to keep up with everyone's hours and what they're doing. And so I want to talk to you about that process and offer that to a free challenge. So you can join us in the challenge group on the Nurse Shark Academy page, Facebook page, in our challenge group. But please register for the event so that you can get information that's coming up. And if you want the option to be VIP, because if you become VIP, then you'll get access to the replays, because after the event at midnight or wherever, I'm taking those videos down. So they will not be available in the challenge group any longer. After 3 days, are coming down. That training will come down. If you want access to the worksheets and things like that, you'll need to be VIP. If you want access to the extra bonuses and to be live in the Zoom room where you're able to do the special Q&A that will happen afterwards, where you can get your questions answered, you need to be VIP. Okay? So I just wanted to make that clear for everyone. Those are our big announcements that we have. I want to thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. Let us know that you're watching. Invite other people to our page and help us spread the word about what we're talking about here for nursing and what's happening in healthcare. All right, and bye-bye for now.